We are live. Okay. Yes, Happy New Year, everyone. So we have a lot of PRs. But
And a phenomenal lack of
It's our
continuous
fault.
integration to test them with.
I would suggest that we spend the majority of this meeting discussing the sprint in 2 days.
yes, well, let's start with the sprint. I think some of the PRs.
We do really need to look at some PRs, because it's getting quite obscene. There are 31 open PRs,
I never like them.
of which 15 are marked as review, and most of those are passing Travis.
Is that what?
Until Travis fell on its sword in a very graceful manner over Christmas. Which totally may not have been.
Of course, it's annoying to have so
We
many
won't discuss that.
PRs because they'll start breaking, and then people have to fix PRs. There's no reason that we can't merge it. We should merge it.
Yeah, I think a maximum will be able to accept one, and then it'll break all the others. So choose that one wisely.
Quite a lot of them are pretty small, so we should be okay.
Those are most of the recent ones. What is Stuart, as an aside, what is the testing label? What do you mean by the testing label?
I mean that it is related to tests or
So
testing.
It's not that the PR itself is under testing. It's that the PR is related to our tests.
What?
Yeah. you're not making
The testing label implies that it is related to the tests and the running thereof.
Can we just call it tests then instead of testing? The verb, the action-y part of that is confusing.
Okay, if you say so.
It is, Stuart. Trust us.
There we are. Happy now.
Yes.
Okay. Our job's done for this meeting. We can go.
Okay, everyone, that's a fantastic meeting. Let's go home.
Okay, Stuart, the sprint. Let's talk about the sprint. The sprint is scheduled for Wednesday, 2 days from now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Are we prepared for the sprint?
I'm always prepared, Stephen. I'm always prepared. I was born prepared.
Are you still drunk?
It's just been a really bad day.
No. That doesn't really answer my question one way or another.
I think that answers it in the positive fashion.
I wish I was drunk.
Andy, you have not responded to whether you are doing the sprint or not.
Oh, oops. Yes, I'm doing the sprint.
Hooray!
Well, that was easy. Okay.
Sorry.
I would suggest that we, for the people at Goddard, we go to the library for it, or at least do it all so that we're all together somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Do you know what the deal with the library is these days? Like, you just go in there?
Yeah. Yeah. They don't ask for your papers or anything.
Just making sure.
But it does only open at like
1,
2 things. 1.
Yeah, lunchtime sometime.
I thought it opened at 10 or something like that.
Well, I know they were suggesting that people go into there because of the fumes, but I don't. Did they change the hours to accommodate that? I don't know that they did. Ooh. So currently we have. Are the sprint is the sprint tag mostly up to date? So the things that will be addressed in the sprint are just those things that are tagged sprint 0.6 sprint, or is there something else we want to add or take away?
What about the status? What's the status of the ephemerides? Is that even close to being sprintable? That doesn't sound very promising.
It's somewhere. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you guys notice?
Yeah, what is missing and what?
There was some discussion on SunPy about them doing ephemeride. They're figuring it out and adding it to SunPy or something like that. Anybody follow that conversation?
Yes, a bit.
Do you know what was the end result of that? Are they actually going to do it, or
There isn't anything. There is some discussion about a future implementation of the JPL ephemerides.
okay, and that's about it?
They have added the whatever it's called, equatorial frame, so that you can, as of 1.0, you'll be able to pull out the or as position of the sun from a specific location on Earth,
Ooh.
which is kind of handy. I don't particularly like the API they've used for it. I can't remember whether that position got merged or not yet. Yes, it did.
So does that mean that we should get rid of the ephemerides from the sprint?
They are different. So
No, I mean because you said you're not ready.
well, I'm not ready. I just need time. So the spring could be a time for me to look into it and work on it.
Is it something you think you can finish in a day?
Maybe. If I look just that, yeah. If I forget about the spectra, the units, then yeah.
Okay.
If anyone volunteers for the spectra unit stuff, please step ahead.
That's 1079. Is that right?
Probably.
So what actually needs doing with that, David?
With what?
The spectra units stuff.
Understand it at all. it's just that there is so many arrays parsed on one side to another, and so many units that need to be properly set, because you have the frequency on the side, you have the data units of the measure by the instrument, and how they're, I mean, all this magic from Florian, how they get parsed to one side to another, is kind of interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. What's the test coverage like?
In where? In Spectra?
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
So at least that makes it easy to just throw it at the wall until it sticks.
Yeah, no, but there's many that are like plotting stuff, so probably that's not tested.
We really need to sort that out.
Could we add a priority tags to these, just so that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so that I think a priority tag would be good anyway. But for this so that we know which ones to attack first, and that way, the high priority ones hopefully get finished, and then other ones, if they don't get to it, maybe that's okay. Do people agree with that?
There are some prioritization to do on this list of things, but to be honest, most of it needs doing if we're ever going to release 0.6 in the way we want to.
Yeah, but some of them, I mean, the ephemerides, I don't know, does it need to be in 0.6, for example?
So long ago we started this, I don't even know why we started doing this in the first place. What is actually the point of it?
Well, we had pulled in the SunPy, Sun.Pro from IDL at some point. And
triggered the differential rotation stuff.
Yeah, there's some of that stuff. I mean, the sun stuff was basically so that you could get, as I recall, so that you could get the distance from the Earth to the sun to add to maps to FITS files that didn't have it, for example.
And the angles, the B0 and the P angle.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you need it if you're going to do any kind of tracking on the solar surface. You need some kind of notion of where the sun is as seen from along the Sun-Earth line.
Right.
Because that's the only case that we cover at the moment. We don't even cover Soho is 1% closer, and that is there's a correction in 1% closer to the sun than the Earth is, and there's a correction in solar stuff for that, but we don't even have that. So we only have at the moment the solar differential rotation stuff that I've been working on has just sun and Earth.
What is the apparent declination and
Today?
what is apparent right ascension and apparent declination?
Oh, what is it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Is it something that Wikipedia?
It's the one without for the synodic days.
Simpler. What is it actually measuring?
And the one of the apparent and non-apparent is just depending of the something to do with the synodic days. I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't feel as though this should be this complicated, but yet it is.
I mean, I can work on that. I have the book and I have the stuff, and I just need time to do it. So the sprint is good for me.
Yeah. Get on with that. I don't know. Units in Spectra. Units in Spectra is going to be a problem, but we can sort that out.
Yeah, and pay Florian to help us with that.
Yeah. Okay.
So I still think it would be useful to prioritize things, especially just to prioritize things for the sprint, because some things are better done, together with people, and some things are not. I feel like.
Well, how would you prioritize? How would you implement a prioritization? So tag high?
Yeah, I would tag. Yeah, maybe just tag high, priority high, and that would be good enough. Like deprecate Python 2.6. Yeah,
That's pretty much done anyway, to be honest.
Right, but it still doesn't have to be high.
No.
Right. For example. But in the unified downloader, I would say that's high. Fixing the sample data stuff so that we can get in the removing the data, the test data. I think that would be high. Coordinates should also be high. Achieve 80% test coverage. I don't know. I don't know whether I would say high for that one, but it would be great to have.
Achieve 80% test coverage to me is start testing plots. If we really need to do that so hard.
Yeah, but that's pretty hard.
It's not that hard. Jules started working on it, I heard, and he said he was going to come, so hopefully we'll get it done.
Okay, so the testing for that is basically like creating some sort of test output, like a PNG or something, and then you testing against that. Is that right?
Yes. The challenge becomes where to keep all the PNGs, but yes, that is.
And then presumably, if anything changes in matplotlib such that the pixels change, then
You
we
have
need
to regenerate the images.
Yeah. Right. Right.
What about different versions of Matplotlib? Are we going to support like 1.4, 1.3.1, 1.3.0?
We can theoretically support that. I think we probably need to limit ourselves to only testing on one, or else it will take 7 years for our Travis build to finish.
One thing I've been wondering is, so we should have tests. This is something that I've been doing myself, and maybe we should consider having it more general, which is like we can have tests that ship with SunPy, which tell you whether SunPy works. But then we can have some more extensive tests that we don't ship with SunPy. That's just something we do ourselves. For example, I have a test that goes through and downloads all the Go's data because I want to make sure that, because it has to span a few different times and the file names changes, and it's also testing whether the file's available, but that's not something that you would have in SunPy tests.
Well, I think it could go in SunPy tests. We could have a special set of tests that are marked like long running or something that aren't run by default.
But I mean, that does download all the data, which is
all right.
Well, yeah.
So doesn't matter.
It still seems like that's something that we should ship. I don't see why we shouldn't ship something like that. We just make sure it doesn't run by default.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Okay. So that means we would want to have
that way
two levels of tests, like one.
Well, we already kind of do, in that we have online ones and offline ones.
Yeah, exactly. So we just
and
need
the
another
offline
category.
build already takes flipping forever.
So then for this testing, the plotting, we could, just like we have a sample data downloader, we would have a test plot downloader that would first download all the plots and then compare them.
Maybe. I don't know.
That would be pretty easy to implement. It's basically you just copy the.
They've been having this conversation on AstroPy Dev about doing this,
Yeah.
and probably my favorite solution so far is have a separate Git module, which is a submodule, where you can not keep the history.
What do you mean not keep the history?
The problem is they're tests. You should be able to scroll back through the history. Mm-hmm. The problem is if you put all of the test plots in the main SunPy repo, the repo is going to balloon.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. You should not keep them there. Just like we move the sample data off, it should just download them when they're needed.
Well, no, I mean, I think Stuart's point is, unlike the sample data, the tests, it'd be nice if we could.
Oh, you have versions
on an older version.
Yeah, you should. The tests should be able to run on an older version. If you check out any point of the Git history, the whole test suite should run.
And hopefully succeed.
Well, I mean, we don't have to use Git to do versioning, especially for binary files. You could just make sure that it goes off. It like knows, it checks the matplotlib version that you have, and then it goes off and downloads the proper files. Because we would have to recreate the files. It would be a one-time event. You recreate all the files, presumably put them in a new directory, and then you still have the old ones. It would be a kind of a set event when that would happen.
Well, I mean, I suppose the best solution is Git Annex, but that brings along a whole nother level of pain because people have to have Git Annex installed to use it, and then we have to have somewhere to host the data. I don't know. It's not a problem with an easy solution, I don't think.
Well, if we can't agree or come up with a good solution, then by Wednesday, then will it be very impossible to achieve the 80% test coverage on 1175 without plotting tests?
Yeah, it's probably possible.
You saying what percentage of our tests involve plotting?
Well,
it's about 20%.
None. It's probably a good 5% of the whole code base is plotting code in lines of code, I would guess.
We've got bigger fish to fry other than plotting.
Not really. We're at 76 or something already.
So forget about doing any plot tests at all.
Yeah. I mean, I actually think the coverage is not so much important. I think, well, coverage is good, but I also have looked through the tests, and there's a lot of things that we don't test for, even though the coverage says that.
Oh, sure, yeah, there is definitely a difference.
Yeah. So I would think that besides looking at the percentage, I think it would be good for us to just look through all of the tests and add the things we need, or we think we need, or at least stubs for things that we need, and not worry about this percentage coverage thing so much. That would be my recommendation.
The percentage coverage thing is a good indicator. You can definitely look at it and see where the big holes are.
Yeah, I agree. But I think the big holes right now are so big that they're like pretty obvious when you just look through things. So I mean, I would just think that it would be more worthwhile to keep that in mind rather than slavishly try to achieve this 80%. If we were to achieve it, that would be great. But
well, I guess I know what you're saying, Steve. Having that 80% to go for, I think will serve that purpose. they're parallel purposes, right?
Right, but they don't necessarily overlap, right? You may write a test when you know that there's another test that needs to be done, even though it covers the other test is important and covers the code. It's already covered technically, but you'll decide to write the test for something that's uncovered and ignore the other thing that needs to be done as well.
Well, the simple solution to that is don't.
Because
I mean, what Steve's saying is some of that 76%, the 76% that isn't actually testing the right thing.
Sure, there are bits that are missing still, but in some respects, having some test coverage, at least if we get to the point where we're executing every line of code, they're going to reduce our bugs by, reduce where the bugs can hide by an amount. Obviously, you can still have, you can still not test edge cases and execute every line of code, but we're not even importing all of the different modules when we run our test case at the moment. While I'm definitely not disagreeing with Steve, I think it's more important to actually do something for a large percentage of SunPy than it is to get. I mean, obviously both are important, but I don't think that they're when we hit 90% test coverage, then yeah, we can start making issues that go through and go, this needs more tests because we're missing stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious. I'm definitely siding with Stuart on this sentiment. But Steve, what, in your mind, what's the largest holes in our current testing coverage that wouldn't be obvious from a coverage kind of point of view?
That's a hard question to answer. I'd have to look through. I just remember. I mean, if you look at a lot of our test suites, they're fairly sparse.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, for example, don't even really test all the input possibilities, for example.
True.
Yeah. So it looks like it's well tested, but in reality, it has some holes. So I don't know. I just thought I'd bring that up. I think we can follow this and.
I mean, you're talking about test quality, right? I mean.
Yeah.
Rather than
exactly.
technical satisfying the coverage criteria. I'm
right. I would just let's just keep that in mind when we go through that. That's all.
I would say on the you might as well just comment on the the 80% issue, whichever number, 1170, whatever that was, and stress that.
Yeah. What are we currently at?
You said 76, Stuart?
I think so, something like that.
Somewhere in the 70s. I mean, I have to say, the thing that pisses me off the most when it comes to the test is because is the part where I've been handcuffed to the strongest, the goddamn map rotate. It certainly would be nice to have plot-based testing there, because that would have caught some of the problems.
We need plot-based testing. It is one of our most user-facing bits of API, is our plotting API. And the fact that it breaks regularly, goes peak is broken on 0.5 with Matplotlib 1.4. It's Matplotlib changed something, it broke. We didn't know about it until I got a message off Larry Manley on Hangouts a few weeks ago going, it broken. We don't know when some of our most user-facing code just explodes because of various reasons. It's not good.
Yeah, I mean, especially plotting.
We need to find a solution to the plot.
It's a very visible problem.
Yeah, exactly. And doing it will, as I say, massively increase our about 74. Will massively increase our. They do the same thing. Store a PNG, test against it. I don't know where they store the PNG though. To be fair, probably in their Git repo.
So that's what we need to do then, right?
Do we have that listed as an issue, Stuart? For plot-based testing of plot-based routines?
I think so.
Can we test the plot with the gallery?
Input a method to test plots 410. Opened March 5th, 2013. That's an old one.
Yeah.
Can we use the gallery to test the plots?
Oh.
But then we've got to run the gallery somehow, like we run our test suite.
Yeah. That is an interesting solution, though, that you would run the gallery. Running the test would run the gallery, so you'd have the gallery there.
I don't know, not out of notebooks. Doing stuff out of notebooks is, in version control is too fraught with problems.
Well, it's fraught with problems because it's including binary,
Exactly.
which is what we would have anyway.
Well, no, because the notebook format is not the best thing in the world to put in a version control system. Unless you're very careful.
I don't think to test the gallery itself, but use the output of the gallery of the plots to test the plotting.
Just save the PNGs. It'd be a lot easier.
Yeah. For the peak fix stuff that I did. I mean, that is how I tested it. I have a notebook that does all the plots, and then whenever I made changes, I just rerun the entire notebook and then check all the plots.
Yeah, visually, you're saying.
Right, visually, yeah. But the plots are in the notebook, so it is an interesting solution. Yeah, but PNGs are probably the way to go.
Are those independent of operating system?
Yeah.
Is matplotlib independent? I mean, what if somebody?
Yes. If you use the included AGG backend to save the files, it is in theory operating system dependent because the whole stack is included in matplotlib.
Okay.
But I mean, for most people, most people would not be running this. I would say what we need to do is come up with a solution that we can run. It's not necessarily the perfect solution, but it's something that we have available to us, and then we can consider how we would make it possible for anyone to check and run. But
it's the same problem. We have a testing infrastructure. The easiest way for us to run tests is using our testing infrastructure. We don't want to build another testing
but there are lots
infrastructure that's going to be more work.
Right, but there are lots of issues that are complicated because we're trying to think of this as a general solution for everyone, which is like your computer. Oh, or how do we handle multiple versions and things like that, and
the plotting stuff with multiple versions.
The major issue that we have right now.
The plotting multiple versions of matplotlib is a challenge, but at the same time, in reality, with the multiple versions of matplotlib thing, we can force our test suite to use the most recent one, because at least then it works. It's better than where we are at the moment. And yes, different versions of other things get in the way, but we cannot test against every possible version of our entire dependency stack because our build matrix would be phenomenal.
Yeah, it's me. Apparently, it's not coming up here. Yeah. Yes.
Hello.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I missed all of that.
Basically, we need to get one version. Like we need to include some plot tests, even if they're just not even testing the output of the plot. Even just executing the code would be a good start. Even if we just test that we get a flipping matplotlib object back out of executing plot would be an improvement.
Yeah, I agree
Because at
with that.
least then if something breaks and it comes up with an error, we know that they come up with an error when you try and plot it.
Yeah, well, that would be
That
really
is-
easy to do.
That is a phenomenal improvement on where we are at the moment, even if we're not testing the output from the damn thing.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, I opened an issue to facilitate that change. In fact, I opened a pull request to facilitate that change the other day. Where's it gone? 1,232.
Wait, Stuart, when we're talking about comparing the PNG, you're talking about pixel by pixel compare, right? It has the pixel match.
Yeah.
Why can't we just do hashes then?
Ooh.
Why do we need PNG?
What are you gonna hash?
Just get a 256-bit hash of it. Just compare the hashes.
Of the PNG and save the hash.
Yeah. Why are we saving the whole PNG? No one's looking at these.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So we would just save the
I'll
hash
do that.
version control somewhere.
Yeah, and we'll version control the hashes, and we're happy, sort of. I mean, it's still gonna hit problems when packages update underneath our feet, but
Yeah, but that's well, that's an interesting idea. I like that. That could well work. Is there a decent hashing library included in the Python standard library?
I have no idea. But
Sure.
I would hope.
Anyway, we should merge 1,232. Hint, hint. Pull requests. Hint.
Can you pull up that one? My computer crashed, so I'm looking over.
1,232?
Yes.
Oh, you're filtering it. Find that thing. Yeah, I was just looking at that when my computer crashed. So, Stuart, does that only affect tests that are run on the whole suite? If you ran just
No. I think it's any time you execute PyTest from within the directory.
from within the test directory.
No, from within SunPy. Or any test. Oh, if I can remember. Hang on, I'll check. If you run the tests using Python setup.py test, then it will definitely use it.
Right, right. I'm just wondering because I usually just run a small set of the tests whenever I'm testing something. Obviously.
Yeah, because the setup.py thing supports -P for the name of the subpackage you want to run. So you can do Python setup.py test.
So if you call it that way,
P.
it will use this matplotlib line. But if I go in,
Definitely use it.
I just go in and try to access a particular test file, then of course it won't use this file.
I don't know. It might be. I'm checking.
I mean, I'm fine with merging this, but I was just curious how far it extends.
I have no idea. Literally